But we begin this hour in Washington, D.C., where two big storylines are monopolizing the White House. First, the president's feud with the Fed chair, and then the backlash over the Epstein files. The calls are growing from both sides of the aisle to release more information, while the president is digging in on the controversy, calling the story nothing but a hoax.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has more on this. So, Natalie, the president saying that this is perpetrated by Democrats and it's a Democrat hoax. But, I mean, we could go back, and we probably should show tweets from not just the president of the United States, but his supporters, his son, people in the Republican Party over the years that have fueled this conspiracy theory. And they've sort of backed themselves into a corner. But now what's remarkable is the president is calling some of his supporters who are calling for the release of these files stupid.
That's exactly right. He's gone from downplaying this, trying to deflect, to now demeaning, criticizing those members of his base and Republicans who are calling for more information, calling for the release of the files. And in one social media post, he calls this, a Democratic scam, and calls them my past supporters have bought into this BS hook, line, and sinker, going on to say that he doesn't even want their support anymore. And this comes as, we've seen Republicans, not only right-wing influencers and commentators, but also voters and supporters who CBS News' Olivia Rinaldi talked to yesterday in Pennsylvania, who are still demanding more information. Now, in an interview last night with right-wing network Real America's Voice, President Trump also said the DOJ should put out anything credible. That's what he said before, but then noted in his words that much of the investigation, he claims, was run by the Biden administration. So much of the things that were found were fake with me, he said. Now, a day earlier, he had indicated to reporters that his name does not appear in any documents. But really, these members of the base and Democratic Party who are calling for more transparency, they're just not going to let this go, it seems.
Yeah, and it is sort of a rare moment of bipartisanship, Natalie, where we're seeing that some Republicans and Democrats are calling for the release of these files. But there was a bill that was sort of making its way through the House that was in a committee, and it was shot down by Republicans.
Yeah, House Democrats pushing for, testimony, a committee that would investigate this. But now we're seeing some Republicans, allies of the president, change their tune. But as we were talking about earlier this week, what was really notable is the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, kind of changing his tune on this and now calling for more transparency as well. So we'll have to see. It's just a day after these increased attacks by the president on some members of his base. We'll have to see how leaders over on Capitol Hill and some members of the MAGA movement there respond.
All right, let's talk about Fed Chair Jerome Powell. President has been indicating for quite some time that he wanted to fire him or at least get rid of him. Then the markets took a tumble, and then what did the president do?
Well, the president was asked directly this question, and he said it's highly unlikely that he would move forward with firing the chairman of the Federal Reserve. But he did confirm and acknowledge the CBS reporting that he posed the question, asked the opinion of a group of House Republicans who were meeting with them. And he said, almost all of those members were pushing for Powell's ouster. But he said that this is likely something he would not do. When asked if he would completely rule it out, he says he doesn't rule out anything, and also said, while it's highly unlikely unless he has to leave for fraud, referencing that $2.5 billion renovation over at the Fed headquarters that has been underway, that the administration seems to be very focused on. But the president, in his comments, does seem to acknowledge the negative impact it would have for not only the markets, but the fact that, according to federal law, you cannot fire this position unless there is cause, Vlad.
Yeah, that's an important detail. Natalie Brand for us. Thank you, Natalie. Appreciate it.